Good morning. Let's have another look at one of the new frontiers of knowledge. There's a growing craze among the people to become a vegetarian. There has been a plethora of information how meat is not very useful despite the fact that it is the only product which has got vitamin B, especially B12. Nevertheless, there are some religious objections. There are some scientific objections, especially in the various types of meats and how it's cooked. And there are some environmental objections. But are these objections always valid? Let's see. First is that the people, those who love animals, they cannot enjoy animals being killed. That's a psychological reaction, and when they see somebody eating meat, they have a feeling of repulsion. Perfectly. They're justified. And nobody forces them, but then that is their feeling. So let's respect that. But then what would happen if the whole world all of a sudden decides to stop eating meat altogether? We cannot deny that meat production is energy intensive. We cannot deny that it emits more carbon dioxide than the vegetarian food does. But it's not appreciated that many vegetarian foods, especially the milk cows which give you milk, produce more pollution than the meat does. You see, if you have half a pound of potatoes, half a pound, that's about 226 grams and grow. They emit the same carbon as half a pound of beef would emit, which is like driving about 8 miles of car. Not much of a difference. But there are vegetables which emit less carbon, like cauliflower, cabbage, and usually children don't like cabbage, especially cabbage. They say rabbits eat it, but anyway, let's become rabbits, and then those rabbits will breed like anything. And there'll be no space for the human beings if the rabbits continue to thrive unimpeded. It is assumed by the scientists that it's a healthier food, plant food. That's right. It is a healthier food, barring the fact that meat provides you with vitamin B, niacin, thalamycin, and your liver is protected if you eat the liver. Of course, the organ meat can have high cholesterol level, but now the doctors have decided that cholesterol level is not much of an issue. So first look at the global guidelines of healthy eating, which have been decided by, and then see what form of carbon dioxide emission is required. And looking at all that, we'll find that first is vegan diet is better than the vegetarian diet. Now it's a very subtle difference between the vegan and the vegetarian. Because vegan diet includes eggs, it includes fish, it includes small birds. As if small birds are poor birds and nobody's to protect them, but whatever. And white meat is assumed to be a part of vegan diet, though not a vegetarian diet. Water use. The amount of water needed to produce meat is a major environmental issue. It's a fact that only the nuts and butter match the thirst of the animals raised for meat. they need more water. And more water is given to them, the fatter they would be, they'll eat less food, cheaper for the meat producers, and you get more juicy meat. So water use would definitely be reduced if everybody starts taking meat. But what about the people? It's always good news, but who is the loser? Today, there are 3.5 billion domestic ruminants on the earth. 3.5 billion, almost half the population of the human beings. And tens of billions of chickens are produced and killed for food each year. Tens of billions. Now, once you stop eating meat, how would you maintain the balance between the food demand and biodiversity? There's going to be major economic disruption. You see, what would happen to the billions of the people who are engaged? Employment would become a major issue for them, providing to the billions of the people who are engaged in producing meat, animals, manufacturing meat, processing it, and then selling it. So three aspects of the economic chain would be broken. Part of the current sport livestock can be used to support crops instead. But the Malthus law would also apply there if the animals keep on growing endlessly, breeding endlessly, and you don't kill them. Whether you kill them for leather or whether you kill them for meat, it's something different. Now, another associated thing is, if you need leather, then you need the skins of the cows. Otherwise, you use a PU, polyurethane leather. Not a bad idea. But if you need the skins, if you need the calf skin shoes and the kid gloves, shining kid gloves, then you need to kill the animals. And what shall you do with the meat? Just throw it away for the carrion, for the birds, crows and the other carrion to eat it? No, then you will say, why not use it as well? You see, you would find that without livestock, life in certain environments will become impossible. What do you think of the nomadic groups like Mongols and Berbers, who, if they have been deprived of their livestock, would have to settle in cities and towns, and they lose their cultural identity in the process? You see, the whole lifestyle, whole identity of these nomadic tribes is because of their livestock. Deprive them with a major identifying factor, and you deprive them from their employment, you deprive them from their sustenance level, you deprive them from their freedom, and you make them stick and become what? Laborers. Add to the number of the unemployed and unemployable laborers, add to the frustrated lot of the human beings. And then, you will no longer be having nutrient-dense meat in their diet. So not only would they become unemployed, but their diet would be nutrient deficient, they'll become more sick, and they'll be burdened on the already burdened health services. Animals admittedly produce more nutrients per calorie than the plants, especially like grains and the rice. And the growing globally could create health crises around the world, especially in the developing countries. Where would they get their micronutrients? You see, their bodies have been habituated to that way of thinking, that they automatically take the micronutrients, they don't have to depend on the supplements. And the micronutrients from the meat are easily absorbed in the body than the micronutrient from the plant food. So, you are not only adding to the economic cost directly, but also by increasing the health care costs. Now, secondly, what happens on all the cultures worldwide which are totally centered on meat consumption? There are events, there are festivals. Say the Muslims, can you consider their Eid festival without Nihari and Halim? Can you think of Thanksgiving Day without the turkey dinner? I mean, so these feasts are Hanukkah. Can you think of Hanukkah without the traditional meat delicacies? Jews, Christians, Muslims, all over. And they are almost 70% of the world population, if not more. So you want to deprive them of their economic benefits, you want to deprive them of their health benefits, you want to deprive them of their cultural heritage as well. And what about the environment cost? We say that, okay, they emit carbon. Admit it. Though in reality the carbon is by the plants and the methane by the dairies is no less. But then it's acceptable they use more water. Now what happens if you start eating meat? There has been an example of Sahara. In the south of Sahara in Africa, there is a small area called Sahel. Now Sahel was dependent absolutely on livestock. So United Nations in its own stupidity said, let's convert this, let them be taught the benefits of agriculture and the plant life. So they started the movement, and this is a report by the BBC, that the parts of Sahel were converted from livestock pasture to the croplands. Do you know what happened? In a period of less than a decade, that fertile land was converted into a desert. You see, when the livestock was produced and the animals were killed, the blood which was soaking into the earth was making the earth fertile. Now either the use of pesticides and fertilizers, which is more expensive for them because that was a byproduct, and they couldn't afford it, so they started to grow the land, and a couple of years the land became less fertile, and then they moved on and the whole area became a desert. Then there's another factor. The areas which currently rely on grazing livestock to keep natural reforestation at bay would become less biodiverse. You know, you use the grazing livestock. It's like mowing your lawn, you know. They say the best lawn mower is keep a couple of goats and they'll keep it clean. So reforestation process is enabled by that. And once you do that, remove the animals over there, it will become less biodiverse. The reality of life is that all this craze about becoming vegetarian is more in the minds of the people, especially of the so-called opinion makers. It's not grounded in reality. If you look at the reality, the number of the meat eaters is increasing every day. Are you aware that the middle classes in India and China, which were traditionally vegetarian and dependent on the plant food, are now consuming meat more than they ever did? And you cannot deny the fact. Imagine a meat-free world. Could that tackle man-made climate change? Might. But what about the naturally happening climate change? Now, what's naturally happening, you cannot change. It would happen by changing forcibly the habits of the people. You are destroying biodiversity. You are increasing burden on the economic burden, health cost, human cost, and also destroying the cultural identity of the people. I'm not a proponent of the meat diet. Let me be very clear. Don't think that I'm saying stop eating plants. No. I am possibly a meat eater once a week or twice a week. But I'm talking purely from the basic needs of the humanity. The moment you start depending on one variety, you are changing the balance of nature. And changing the balance is always fraught with danger. No food is good taken in moderation, is bad taken in moderation. Any food would be bad if you depend it solely or out of moderation. If you cut down the production, it might benefit your health marginally, but it will affect the climate change in a much more adverse manner. It affects the healthcare costs in much more adverse manner. It will be economically harmful. So the best is, let the world be as it is. Let the individual take his choice, unburdened by the pseudo-expert opinions or pseudo-cultural issues or information wrongly interpreted. That's the way the world can be better. Thank you.